Sorry about that. We're back. I'm going to now give my one-word impression for Shang-Chi, which is going to be an experiment.
Wait, what? Experiment?
The Chapek.
The Chapek, the infamous Bob Chapek quote where he says that Shang-Chi is an experiment, and to clarify, or he clarified, or the article clarifies what he meant by that is Shang-Chi being released as a theatrical only release and not a simultaneous Disney Plus release was the experiment, not the idea. I don't believe, or I hope he didn't mean it in the sense of this is the first time we're trying an Asian lead and a mostly Asian cast, and
Hopefully he's smart.
hope for the best. Yeah, hopefully, hope for that.
To be the CEO of Disney, does your first name have to be Bob?
Yes. That's why I'm going to legally change my name to Bob, lowercase b, uppercase O, lowercase b.
Bob is short for Robert,
which is short for Dick. Nope, that's not true.
Richard.
Richard is Dick.
Yeah.
Which it makes no sense.
I've never understood that. Yeah,
I don't
that's
understand
a weird
some
one.
of them, but maybe that's just a different world.
Yeah. But the other reason I use the word experiment is it's also kind of an experiment in the sense that they took, we are in the Marvel phases. We're at phase 4 now, right?
Yeah. This is
I believe so.
This is movie number 2, and overall like the 5th/6th property if you add in What If of phase 4.
And what's interesting about this is it's truly an origin story, right? It is. We're seeing the beginnings of a brand new superhero, brand new character. I'm a little bit surprised that we are being introduced to new characters, which is always a good thing. I'm a little surprised that it's being done on like a big screen.
Yeah.
And the payoff I think is huge. It's great. We're getting a really interesting, unique, cool character, and I think the best part about this character and why I feel like I can relate to this character is that when it's late at night, instead of going home and being mature, they go out and do karaoke. Yeah. And that to me is amazing.
Oh, we do that all the time. It is relatable.
Yeah.
We used to. Yeah, what's interesting about the MCU right now, especially when you look at phase 4 and you talked about like the new characters on the screen. Black Widow is kind of like a half origin movie for Yelena.
Mm-hmm.
And her character, it kind of introduces her to the MCU. She's going to be a big player in it. Shang-Chi obviously introduces Shang. Katie, it seems like, is going to be a part of the MCU as well.
She's going to be the new Hawkeye.
Maybe she's going to show up in Hawkeye. Teach him how to shoot a...
Oh, that's awesome.
Then, obviously, the Eternals is coming, so that's going to introduce a whole bunch of new characters. So these first 3 movies are all kind of new characters versus the first 3 Marvel shows are all established characters, right? WandaVision for Wanda, Falcon and Winter Soldier for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Loki for Loki. So
but
it's interesting how they kind of
but they're still introducing new characters as well.
Sure.
But it's not in the Disney Plus shows. It's not brand new characters in terms of lead origin new characters
versus like the movies are doing actual origin movies. It's almost like they're going back to phase 1 a little bit.
Yeah, which is kind of nice. It's a nice surprise. And thank you, Bob, for that amazing word, experiment.
Wait, we knew new characters were coming.
Yeah, no, I know that, but
yeah,
it's just nice to see it
now
work out.
At night.
Yeah. Oh. As always, Arjuna does his DVD chapter listings.
This one's a beast.
I actually always believed Arjuna would do it right after he saw the movie. I discovered today when I jumped on our outline to look at some notes that he doesn't. He does it just before the podcast.
Yeah.
No, not always.
You liar.
It depends.
Fake.
Sometimes it depends. When we do TV shows, it's like I'll normally do a second viewing, and while I'm watching it, I'll do it as I'm watching. But in a movie theater, I don't want to pull out my phone and be like, "Oh yeah."
As soon as the credits roll, you should.
Absolutely,
you should.
Yeah,
you should. In fact, before you leave today, I'm going to give you a notepad and pen. You are to take that notepad and pen anytime you see a brand new movie, and when the credits start rolling, you fucking write the goddamn chapter listings.
Oh wow!
And if I don't see the chapter listings on paper, I know you faked it.
Fake it till you make it, baby.
Wait, no. Anyway, as always, Krishna is going to read the DVD chapter listings, and he is going to do it in
There's only one choice here.
Yes, Ben Kingsley's accent.
As when he's the Mandarin in Iron Man 3.
I was going to do this like
there's a direct line from Iron Man 3 in this chapter
listing.
They'll
never
But I don't remember.
coming.
Is that how he sounds?
Yes.
Yeah. You don't remember that? It's so iconic.
It's iconic and evil.
The trailer was iconic because everyone's like, oh my God.
But I haven't seen the movie or the trailer since the year it came out.
Which 2005.
Anyone else really
Ooh.
want to
No,
watch
it
Iron
wasn't.
Man? It's 2013.
Yeah. Not that long ago.
I kind of really
kinda
wanted to
long time
rewatch
ago.
Iron Man 3 after seeing this.
No,
Just for
they did it.
just
They
for Ben
tricked you.
Kingsley's character.
They
you know?
tricked you.
Anyway, Krishna, let's hear it.
How does the voice go again? Give it to me again.
They'll never see me coming.
Oh, so he sounds like this.
Yes.
That's the voice he
All
puts
right.
on.
Here's Arjuna's DVD chapter listing. Whiplash on a horse. Love at first punch. Joy rides. Hey, what's up? Welcome to my bus. Beef.
Oh wait, it's supposed to be vegetarian, not chicken.
Beef or vegetarian? Take off your shirt. A man in a kabuki mask. Sorry, I love the word kabuki.
If anyone here has seen,
it's a very pleasing
if
word
anyone here has
to
seen
me.
the animated movie Big Hero 6, there's a scene where the main character goes to the police officers and tells them that he saw this man at kabuki mask, and the cop is like, "Let me get this straight. A man in a kabuki mask."
Kabuki. Kabuki. It's a great word. Water bending.
Oh, yeah,
You'll
definitely.
never see me coming.
Coming.
Pac-Man in the jungle. CGI land. Sorry, I don't know why that's funny, but it is. CGI land.
Welcome to Tao Lo, CGI land.
Land of CGI. Training mode. Is this what you wanted? Daddy, no. Game of Dragons. Sponsored by Venmo.
What? I don't understand the Venmo reference.
At the very end of the movie, he's like, "I'll Venmo you
Oh,
Wow.
for the drinks."
interesting. So he didn't use
Wow,
Cash
wow,
App,
wow,
didn't
wow,
use
wow.
PayPal.
Venmo.
Jay, you didn't include any chapter listings for the mid and after credits scenes.
Yeah.
Because this is for the
Just the film?
A DVD chapter listing would not have the after credits.
That's a
scene,
great.
you know?
Well done.
Well, if you were to give a chapter listing on the spot, what would you give the first and
mid credits and
end credit scene and then the last end credit scene?
Oh, that's easy.
Alcoholics Anonymous.
Nice.
For the first one.
Amazing,
It's fucked up.
but amazing.
And the second one would be edgy.
No, it should be just 10 rings.
I was gonna. I would have
10
been.
rings,
I would have
edgy.
been like. I would have called the second end credit scene. I would have called it Saints Row.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
That's a good one.
Oh,
That's a good
actually,
one.
I saw. I think there's a Saints Row coming.
Yeah, there
to
is. There's a
PS5.
remake. Yes.
Chris is gonna get
a
it.
remake.
Yes, there's a remake of
The first one.
I think the
assume?
first one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because the last one was batshit crazy because you were in space
There's
and
like
then
4 of them.
Aren't they
Four.
supposed to be insane? Like it's insane GTA, right? Anyway, we're off
something
topic.
like that. Something like that.
All right, so yeah.
I would say in terms of
Yeah.
Arjuna's rating Arjuna's DVD chapter listing, I'll give this a 4 just because I've learned the truth. And then in Christian's reading, I would give that a 6.
Wow.
You could have really honed in more in terms
I
of
don't
your
know the
Mandarin.
voice. I'm going off of your.
I was
impression.
actually really proud of this one.
You did it just before.
I know, but I thought about it. It was like I wrote them down, but I
Show
hadn't
me
been
the
thinking
notes.
About it.
Oh man.
It's all up here.
No, the notes.
You don't want to see up here.
I liked waterbending, but you should have included airbending as well.
Yeah, airbending would have made more
Airbending
sense
was
than
like
the
the-
waterbending.
as
That's
soon as-
included in training mode.
Yeah, but as
I couldn't do training mode and airbending, okay?
But
and
Arjuna-
airbending would have been duplicative of waterbending.
Yeah.
You're welcome
No,
that I think about
that's not
trying to
true.
vary this shit up.
No. So airbending appears very early on in the movie. when
That's
they-
what love at first punch is. That's what's great about that, because they fall in love and they're punching each other.
I like love
Has
at
to do with airbending how?
Well, she kind of just like
she-
the wind.
she uses
the air,
airbending to
the
beat
air.
Oh,
them.
she does. But
Yeah.
Chapter listing doesn't mention that.
I know. I did put that in there. That's what I'm saying. I did love at first punch.
Yeah,
because
I
I couldn't
wanted-
do
I
that
wanted
and
airbending.
at the same time.
And he-
Okay,
wanted to
let's
keep
get
love.
back
See,
into
you're
the.
welcome, America.
Let's get back into the movie and not Avatar. Okay, the movie is called Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Not fucking Avatar.
And
What about
Avatar.
Avatar: The Last Airbender?
No.
Avatar.
Now I do want to bring up this point real quick. So before before we dive into more characters in the actual movie, I love to play the game of talking the politics of Hollywood. I love bringing up lawsuits because that's fucking hilarious. Now, currently there is a lawsuit between Scarlett Johansson and ScarJo and Disney over the lost royalties of Black Widow's being released both in theaters and on Disney Plus. Basically, the claims of the lawsuit is that she lost funds because of the Disney Plus release. It decreased the chances of box office. Why I bring this up is because Black Widow, they're just like Shang-Chi. There is an expectation when the lead is not a white male that the box office numbers are going to be lower, right? Because it's not a white male, it's an Asian lead, it's a female lead, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Black Widow, unfortunately, was not the best of movies. Maybe
we did all like it though. We all said it was good.
We all said it was good. It was all good.
West.
But when you compare the box office numbers, to other COVID films, it's not up there. It's not below there. It's just kind of average, right? Sure. Definitely not pre-COVID numbers.
Nothing is.
What is interesting though is the Thursday night preview. Yep. The numbers for Black Widow are around 13 point.
It's like 12.1 million they got on the Thursday, which was like really high. So they actually
Thursday, yeah,
they thought the movie was going to do really well.
And then Shang-Chi, as of the taping of this podcast, the Thursday night preview numbers that came out are 8.8 million. Right. So it's not doing as well. So what's interesting with this is if, let's say, Shang-Chi does less than the global or the total box office numbers of Black Widow, ScarJo's lawsuit, unfortunately, doesn't make a lot of sense because even if Shang-Chi was released simultaneously with the theatrical release, you could make the argument that the box office numbers were never going to change. Because, again, it comes down to the consumer, and right now, most consumers are being smart and are living, unfortunately, in areas where COVID cases are just through the fucking roof. So it doesn't make sense, and they're not, lucky enough to go and see the movies in theaters.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. There is also a report that came out today. The taping of this podcast is Friday evening, accounting in for midday Friday and looking at what the pre-sales for Saturday and Sunday were. They predict it's going to be about 60+ million domestically for Shang-Chi, which is above what predictions were, and apparently smashes some type of Labor Day weekend box office return. So obviously those are just projections. Like, we actually have to see how much money it really makes.
But again, it's interesting with this whole thing. Like, a couple of websites, The Verge put out an article where they titled it, very clickbait title, but it was like, Shang-Chi will never was destined to fail. And the reason is their argument is because of where the world is right now. We're in a pandemic. People are taking every single thing or issue, they're making it, political. People are getting in each other's throats about nothing, essentially. And Marvel, unfortunately, they set this up where they had to release the movie roughly nowish, because if they didn't, it delays everything else, which could have a bigger financial impact as opposed to one or two movies. Because if this doesn't come out, based on what we see at the end, we can make the argument that post-credit scene where it's Alcoholics Anonymous with Shang-Chi, Katie, Wong, Captain Marvel, and the Hulk, we get a very zoomed in on the rings, and we see some kind of pulse happening, which one would theorize is maybe it's alerting something related to the Eternals. Who knows?
Colors are match for sure.
Or something with the Celestials. Who knows? Because they don't know where the rings come from. Now, in the comics, the rings come from some alien race, some dragon aliens.
Dragon aliens?
They're dragon aliens, yeah.
Nice.
Which, you kind of have those dragon aliens in here. The Soul Sucker. That's what they call it. They call it the Soul Sucker.
A soul sucker.
That... the Soul Sucker, they said came down to Tao Lao. So that indicates to me it's like maybe came from space, maybe has some type of extraterrestrial type of origin. They don't really explain much about their guardian, either their dragon. They said it appeared.
The Protector.
But they don't say if it was like always in the land, it just appeared from the land, or also came down from the sky. So, I think they're leaving it open-ended, obviously, to explain in the Disney Plus show.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Marvel say, though, that it was no alien tech she'd seen.
Correct.
Sure, but Captain Marvel, again, she's not she hasn't seen it, but she's only been around for 30 something years in space. The 90s. Yeah, so about 30 years or whatever. Yeah. So she hasn't seen everything in space. And, you know, even when we get the prologue in the beginning about, how do you say his name? Wen Wu, and how he gets the 10 rings. There's, you know, conflicting stories, you know, in a tomb, found it in a hole. Like, we don't know the true nature of where he got the rings from.
That's a good point.
I mean, I have a theory, and, you know, seeing the movie, it made me feel like, especially with that after credit scene, did they travel to another universe, right? Did they travel to, you know, we know the multiverse is here. And even
when you say they, who?
So when they go to Tao Lao, right, they go through like a water portal that's very similar to the Doctor Strange type of portals that they make. Mm-hmm. But just water, right? And their aunt, Ying Nan, talks a lot about in your universe, right? And there's a lot of the Marvel buzzy keywords they like to use. They use realm. They use universe, they use realm, and they use dimension in the movie, right? Which realm is obviously very akin to Thor, where they talk about the 9 realms. Dimension is very akin to Doctor Strange when they talk about the different dimensions, the quantum dimension and all this type of stuff. And then the universe stuff is obviously is newer, with like Loki now introducing the multiverse. Obviously, we have a movie that has the word multiverse in it. We have the Spider-Man movie where the multiverse is clearly a thing.
Is it?
If this is another fake out like Far From Home, that would be hilarious.
No, but I guess the question is, I know we're talking now Spider-Man Far From Home, the trailer that finally came out.
Yeah. No Way Home.
Yeah. No Way Home, but when is there a mention of a multiverse in that trailer?
Doctor Strange, Steven says the multiverse is something we know very little about. It's a direct quote as he's doing the spell, and then he's like,
"So are we sure that is Doctor Strange?
We don't know,
and not Mephisto,
Dormammu. It's
I've
Dormammu.
come to bark.
No, Dormammu is stuck in a time loop.
He is.
He is stuck in a time loop. Yes.
Well,
that's how Doctor Strange
I totally
left
forget
him.
Doctor Strange.
We all do.
It's a great movie.
I want to rewatch it though.
Let's watch it right now.
I have a feeling.
Let's just stop the pod and go do it. What? No,
let's
kidding.
go. We'll be back, everyone.
But so, what do you think? Do you think Tao Lo is another universe? The way I kind of look at Tao Lo is the same way that we look at Asgard and the realms, where it's in our little like if our universe is if this is our universe, everything in my hand.
Right.
Tao Lo, Asgard, they're all here, right? It's just how you get there and the road you choose to get there is a little bit wonky and different.
Sure.
And I also think the inhabitants of Tao Lo, they're not, they're telling us information that they've heard. That doesn't mean that information is correct. Right? Just because they have a really cool hallway with cool wooden figures and storytelling and doing the classic Marvel info dump.
I did think an interesting line was she said before the Soul Suckers came, Tao Lo used to be a huge land with cities much more advanced than anything you have, right? So I think it indicates that those cities don't exist anymore, that the Soul Suckers must have destroyed them.
All 20 of the Soul Suckers, right?
But what I wonder what that means is, like, when they say bigger cities, does it mean they had, because they're, even though they have like the dragon scale armor and weapons, they're still fairly quote unquote primitive, right? They don't have a lot of tech. They have a lot of physical weapons. They obviously have the air bending magic type of stuff. But I wonder if with a much more advanced civilization that has regressed a little. So I don't know. That's just something to think about and kind of wonder when it comes to this, but I think Marvel left it open-ended, so someone else can decide later on, and they can kind of fit it into any.
It's also buckets. Remember Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and they introduced the Inhumans, and then there was the entire Inhumans 6-episode thing that happened, and then that was just whatever. And the Inhumans also lived on Earth, but like it felt like a different realm, and they were also super advanced.
Wait, what show is this?
Inhumans.
The ABC show.
ABC did.
I never watched that. Was it good?
I didn't bother because
I think all those are considered like non-canon.
Oh,
until like Kevin Feige comes out and says it, I'm just gonna
assume it's not canon.
James
not
Gunn
watch it.
Came out and said it.
Did he?
He did. He had a tweet where somebody asked him about the Netflix shows, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's like, I can tell you for a fact the directors and all the like producers and stuff for the movies have never considered any of those shows canon.
Wow. Well, there you go. Then I guess that's something.
It'd probably be too complicated to.
Speaking about things that are complicated,
Oh my god.
one thing that is now a common practice whenever you see an MCU property is you ask two questions and two questions only. When the fuck does this take place in the current MCU timeline? And then was that person or those people or those individuals blipped?
I mean, it's a great. I mean,
Those are the only questions you really care about.
And Infinity War and Endgame were impactful enough where it's just like a question on your mind. Of like,
Definitely.
Were they?
No, I agree. Now, the question that we have was Shang-Chi, was Katie's family, was the leader of the Ten Rings organization,
Wenwu, yeah.
or like hell, most of the Ten Rings organization. Were any of these individuals blipped? And
sister, yeah.
And the other question is, what were they doing during that 10-year period? So Arjuna has written down some facts.
Yes.
A lot of facts.
Facts.
Now, I guess the big question.
The first one is an assumption.
Well,
Yes.
okay, so the first one is an assumption based off of when Wenwu goes after looking for Tao Lao. It's
That was in
1996.
Yes.
Right? So depending on
We got the classic title
Right.
of 1996.
And
But we
it's
don't know.
What we don't know is how long it took for Wenwu and Shang-Chi's mother to fall in love, leave, and have Shang-Chi, right? Now, is it the same year? Like, we don't know if it's early 96, late 96, how many years that takes.
It could be up until
that
it could
stuff.
take 6 years. It could
Yeah,
be.
we
It could
really
be like,
don't know.
Yeah.
We really, like, there's
But-
no indication.
Yeah. But what follows from that one assumption?
Yes.
You can go in any direction because you can finagle the numbers any way you want based on when they're born.
I mean, one thing though that kind of works, kind of doesn't work is we know when Shang and Katie are talking to their friends, they're talking about how those two became friends, and when Shang came to America, somebody called him the Gungan style kid, which we know came out, in the real world in 2013. Again, we don't know when it came out in that show, but you could use that as kind of
They
an
do use a
anchor
lot
point.
of, real life references.
Yeah, and if
as
that's like
anchors.
the anchor point, then you could make the assumption in 2013, let's say he's 14, right? And then let's blast it off to 2021.
Well, this movie would take place in 23, though.
Right.
2023.
So that's 10 years later.
Yeah.
So which would put him 20.
That's
That
the
would
present.
that would
That's
make
the
him 20.
MCU
That would make him 24.
That would make him 24.
But we don't know at the time of the events of Shang-Chi what his current age is. So he could be 24, he could be 29. And then that would basically be the deciding factor of was he blipped or was he not blipped.
Right.
Oh, I lied about that.
Oh, you son of a bitch.
Wow. So a lot of assumptions going on. It is a fun thought experiment.
It's definitely
but
a thought experiment. I think there.
Definitive proof. His father mentions watching him for 10 years.
Right.
But never once that he disappeared off the face of the earth.
Unless they
for
both
5.
disappeared,
Yeah, unless they all disappeared.
which could have. I mean, but
Yeah,
think about
true, true.
how convenient they've done it for movies, right? Like for Spider-Man, Peter and all his friends. Were
Yeah,
blipped, you
all
know?
his friends-
all the main
Yeah.
characters of Spider-Man were blipped.
Blipped. Yep.
So they could have
So
worked it that way
ridiculous.
too, So I think it's something. It's interesting, I think, too, because like even on the creative side, because we like to talk about, when they make these scripts and when they're making these movies, it's like it's a thing they have to think about, right? And it's something that you have to be intentional about and like kind of be able to set. I mean, you also now have this multiverse thing where, as Michael pointed out in the movie, they could just say it's a different universe, like it's just a different timeline.
Again, the
if they really wanted
the
to.
multiverse thing the multiverse thing is something like the fans are talking more about as
Sure.
opposed to the creatives, right?
Right, for sure.
And then, back to the whole being blipped and not blipped. The director did say they purposely just kind of left it open because there was so much Shang-Chi story to tell that it didn't feel super important. And I kind of agree with that because it goes back to like this whole blip thing, right? If this movie is supposedly around the events of Spider-Man Far From Home? Yeah,
No Way Home.
No Way Home. That's about 8-9 months after the, being blipped back into existence. Right. A world that's trying to heal and move on, they're not going to spend every waking moment talking about it. Sure. Even like right now with COVID, when COVID first started and you spoke to people, the entire conversation was, what are you doing? What bread are you making? What start are you getting? Like all the typical COVID things. We're a year and a half later, sure. But for the most part, people aren't saying like, what were you doing at the start of COVID anymore? That conversation is kind of moved past it. So I would imagine in this world, granted, that's a way bigger fucking thing.
And it is still mentioned. It is mentioned.
It is definitely
directly in
mentioned. It's definitely mentioned.
conversation.
But I don't think it would be something where it's like, we have to talk about it all the time because this is a movie.
No, I don't think that you have
Yeah.
to talk about it in the movie, but I think from the creative background, when you're kind of shaping the characters, that has to be part of the conversation, right? Because that it's a big event that would still have some type of impact, even if it's as simple as they're 5 years older or 5 years younger. That's
yeah.
an impact on the character, right? Like
Whether they lost friends
are
for
they
5 years.
right? Are they
I mean,
early
it
20s
would
or are they
definitely
mid
affect
20s?
you,
Right?
yeah.
Have they been valet parkers for all the? If they were around, were they valet? Were they doing valet for 5 years? Like that's part of.
I'd
that's
like
part
to.
of what goes into
I'd
it,
like to
too,
imagine
you
if they
know?
were around for 5 years, that they wouldn't have been valet parkers, parking,
Parker.
what valet attendants.
Yeah.
Because then it's like, what the fuck? Or because what it would mean is like before the blip, they were valet parkers, valet attendants. The blip happens, they did something for 5 years, and then for some reason they got back into valet attending. Like, I mean, that's
all. That's
fucking
all
wild.
they know.
Yeah.
and all they wanted to do was
that's
drive cars.
That's
and
fucking
park them.
crazy.
I mean, that was what
yeah.
they wanted to do at the beginning.
That
yeah.
is-
They had
that is what they were
They
about.
had no motivation to do anything else, or they just didn't want to do anything else.
Which I personally thought was really funny, and it was like a cool like character, thing. It's like, oh, you know what? These they don't have any ambitions. It's cool. Now, obviously, with Shang-Chi, maybe it was a little bit different. Perhaps he was using it as
hiding.
cover.
Yeah.
And, he was just trying to keep a low profile.
Chi was hiding as Sean.
At Sean, yes,
He was hiding his big secret.
that he loves Awkwafina.
Actually, let's talk about that.
Yeah, some of the characters.
Most of the time when you see a movie with a male and a female character and there's a lot of like action and intense sequences, they end up falling in love. We know that these two characters have been friends for 10 years.
There's something there, though, right?
There's definitely something there, but there wasn't.
alluded
It
to.
didn't end where it's like I love you and they're kissing and et cetera, et cetera. Okay, not okay. Who cares?
No, I think that's great.
I think
They're
it's,
playing the long con.
yeah, I think it's good too because it's there's a lot happening in this movie, right? As we haven't necessarily talked about the whole movie as a whole, but there's a ton going on. You're introducing a whole bunch of new characters. You're introducing Shang, then you introduce the 10 Rings. Oh, and then you also introduce this mystical land called Tao Lao and
CGI
everything
land.
that's going.
Also,
going
his
on in it.
sister, which we haven't even
Right,
talked
his
about.
sister is a huge thing. You have his dad who's 10,000 years old or something, So there's a ton of elements and a ton of ground to cover, and kind of similar to the blip conversation, right? In terms of like having it be a focal point of the movie, like it's just too much to add in if you make that a focal point. But it's more of a background thing. Like there are just these little subtle things on the bus. He only starts fighting when they slam Katie's head into the window.
Right.
That's when he gets defensive. He gets the fists, into the ball, all scrunched up because that's his assassin training kind of coming in, and then he's really fighting, right? So yeah, I think they handled it well. Like it wasn't this thing that they had to fall in love and then they kiss at the end and they get married, and then they have little Shang-Chi Jr. and he gets the 11th ring. It'll be called Shang-Chi and the Legend of the 11 Rings.
What the fuck?
That's like that's how it used to go. I feel like with
I will say
action movies.
I'll say they did a good job. They did a really good job with Katie, Awkwafina's character, Katie, and
Yeah, she was
Shang-Chi.
hilarious.
They did not do a good job with Shang-Chi and his sister. Like in the first half of the movie, they did a really good job showcasing like these two kids. They had it really, really fucked up, and then Shang-Chi did his thing, abandoned his sister. There's definitely issues there, but by the end of the movie, it feels like instead of them coming together and either having a moment or doing anything, it was just more of, we're going to go solve this Tao Lo problem, and then that's it. We don't have any kind of after thing, except for my sister's going dismantling my dad's organization.
Let me just get this straight.
Yes.
Are you advocating that you wanted to see more character development with
between
these two
those,
characters?
yeah, between that, yes.
Is this a was a good first, Juna?
No.
No, I feel like in the last year, specifically. He's come around more to character development.
Wow,
When it makes sense,
Your
yes.
character has developed.
Shut the
into
fuck
someone who likes character.
But I will say this. You know, I don't think this movie is perfect, and I think, you know, speaking of a lot of things going on, like the relationship between Sean and his dad, the relationship between Sean and Katie, the relationship between Sean and his sister was the one that suffered because of all of this stuff kind of going on.
Yep.
And I thought it started off really well. I loved the fight when they're in the club, you know, and they have the fight, and it's a great fight sequence, and she does the kick, she knocks him out, a slow-mo shot, all like great stuff. I was like, wow, this is going to be really cool. I'm really excited to see what they do. And then I think from there, it just doesn't really develop. And it was kind of, going back to Black Widow, it reminded me a little bit of the focus of that movie is
family.
is Natasha's relationship with Yelena, right? And their sisterly bond. And this one kind of tried to do that a little bit, but it was just pushed.
It was
just
off
kept
to the
getting
side,
pushed, you know? And it almost felt like Yelena and Shang's sister kind of ended in a similar
How do you pronounce
way.
her name?
It's Zealand.
Zealing.
Xiling. But I'm just going to say Shang's sister because I don't want to mispronounce her.
Yeah.
They ended in a similar way where they end up helping their sibling, and they help, quote unquote, save the world in some way, but they're not necessarily like wholly good, right? She's still running. She was doing an illegal empire, a fight club, right, to make money, and it seems like she's taking over the Ten Rings to kind of
Technically, what was the
continue
illegal
that.
about it? Just because it's streamed on the dark web doesn't mean it's illegal. Because remember, as Shang-Chi's going up the elevator, he does sign. So it's not like he's being forced.
Sure.
And from what we see, nobody's being forced to fight.
We'll get to Wong.
Nobody's being forced to fight, and nobody's being murdered.
Sure.
So I don't know if it's necessarily illegal.
Yeah.
But again, this is a Disney property and a Marvel thing.
Sure.
And side tangent thing here, like, you're seeing like what felt like a really cool martial arts, like it felt like a very awesome, like not early, but like old school, like Chinese.
There's a reason for that.
Martial arts film, but in those films it was way more brutal,
Right.
And it felt more real. This felt like the more kind of like happy-go-lucky Disney-fied version.
Well, so I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but all the fight sequences and the fight choreography were done by Jackie Chan's fight team.
Yep.
Wow.
So he has his own team, and that's why a lot of the fights, you know, kind of had that Jackie Chan feel.
Awesome.
Even some of the imagery was similar too. Like the bus fight reminded me a little bit of like Rush Hour 1 when they fight on the bus. The fight where they're on the scaffolding and stuff reminded me a little bit of Rush Hour 2.
Rush Hour 2
Yep.
for
When
sure,
they're in China, So I liked that they were able to utilize some of that stuff. And I mean, those fight sequences were just incredible in a lot of ways.
So basically, are we saying Shang-Chi was a Disney Jackie Chan film?
Yes.
Where it's like they can't show like necessarily the violence and like the realism of like what would happen in like the real world in terms of the violence, but instead it's like I run my underground illegal fight club, but everything's up to code.
Do you think they offered Wenwu?
The elevator wasn't.
Do you think they offered? Do you guys think they offered? Do you think they offered Wenwu to Jackie Chan first? He turned it down.
No.
I don't know. Is there a thing?
I don't think so. Well, maybe.
I
Maybe.
mean, Jackie Chan's he's a great actor, great fight choreographer.
He would not be.
I don't think he would have been a good one for that role. That's not like
The
a
actor
Jackie
who
Chan
plays
role.
Tony Leung.
Yes.
Oh, he was great.
Was amazing.
You know what he's in, right?
No.
So the Chinese films that inspired The Departed.
Why can't Internal Affairs?
Internal Affairs. Thank you.
Is he the main character?
He's one of them. Yeah.
Oh wow.
He
Okay,
might,
cool.
maybe. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's why, because I was like, you know where he's from, and I couldn't remember.
He was incredible, and we've talked ad nauseum about Marvel and villain problems, but he was.
They did a great job.
Upper tier.
I would say he was the villain. The real villain is family.
The soul sucker.
The Soul Sucker.
Yeah, family. The Soul Suckers, they wanted to put their family back together.
Yeah.
So family was the problem. There you go. Family's the villain.
Family also saved them.
Hey, a family that soul sucks together stays together.
Ew.
What did you guys think of like his death?
Bad.
Agreed.
Again, like I'll say this right now. The first half of the movie was awesome. And we were lucky enough to see this movie in a theater. packed theater, opening night theaters. Like everyone who has gone and seen a Marvel movie in the last like 10 years knows that that's a different atmosphere, right? And you could tell in that theater, the first half, the audience was fucking loving it.
Yeah.
By the second half, and when you got to the info dump and the inevitable big fucking fight scene, the audience was like, okay, let's just get to the post-credit scene now, right? And that sucks. And I get that is the Marvel thing, but I was really hoping that they would have not done that. And I'm not entirely sure how you would have fixed it, but we got there, unfortunately, and like that end sequence was just whatever.
It was CG. It was a
CG
lot of
clusterfuck.
CGI.
Yeah,
And it's a typical Marvel problem,
Yeah.
honestly, where they just kind of devolve into like
what they should have done is like
the CGI battle.
what they should have done is like the parts of that entire epic end battle that were interesting. The relationship that you saw between like Katie and like the Warriors, that was interesting. Focus more on that. And then, more importantly, like the fight sequence between Shang-Chi and his father. But then
that should have been the focal point.
introduce also the daughter in there, because the daughter also has her own shit she needs to deal with.
Right.
That's
Like,
true.
and also, just from a logical standpoint, why the fuck, like, your dad is this big bad guy. Why would you would send both of them in, like both the kids? Don't go in, Mr. Macho, whatever. That made no fucking sense to me. Like, that's just piss poor management planning.
Strategic.
Yeah, I just feel like the theme of the movie was, or the heart of the movie was this relationship between Shang and his dad. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You saw it all over the imagery. It was a big theme throughout the movie, and it is a strange choice that the climactic fight isn't those two, right? Like, he dies, and then it is CGI Monster 1 versus CGI Monster 2. These characters you meet very late in the game, and that is like the climax and the conclusion of it. So I do wish that was handled well. I wish there was more of a conclusion. Like, I guess it was nice that he like saved himself for Shang. Like, he saved Shang and sacrificed himself. But then literally after he dies, it just feels like there is no type of resolution to that. Like, it felt like it should have been a bigger moment. It's like, oh, he died, and they kind of like
And they send the candle. They send the candle off down the water. Yeah.
And they have this like they have this longing look at him, right, as they kind of fly away, and it's like battle, 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 battle. I mean, they do the thing, and then they immediately roll into the joke of Katie and Shang telling their high school friend and her high school friend's husband or boyfriend about like this whole thing, and then she's like, "Fuck you," and then Wong comes through and it's credits. Like, it doesn't feel like
It's not a good ending.
it's so rushed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it felt like it should have lingered and had more impact, and it didn't.
Even like a little, like, couple conversations or something.
Sure.
Or even like a visual like look or something. Yeah.
A conversation with the sister. Like,
Yeah,
Oh man.
yeah.
Yeah. Our dad's dead. That's weird.
Yeah.
That would've been better,
Speaking though, so Wong
Oh, his soul
was
got sucked out.
Wong. Obviously, we see a bunch throughout this whole thing. We
fucker
see
Wong.
Wong during the fights.
I love Wong.
During
Yeah,
the
he's great.
illegal fight club, as Arjuna put it, fighting Abomination. But what we saw in the trailers, and this is what I like about Marvel trailers, they present a picture and then you in your head decide that this is what's happening.
Sure.
Where we thought it was Abomination fighting Wong and beating Wong, and then Shang-Chi was going to fight Abomination. That's how they kind of cut the trailer. Sometimes Marvel goes to the extreme, obviously, of just CGIing things out. This one I liked because they didn't do that, and it was just they just recut it a certain way and made you think a certain thing. But what was interesting, though, it seemed like Wong was training Abomination for something.
Yeah, there's a lot going on in that whole
What was it
scene.
called? Dark Avengers?
Dark Avengers
Dark
is a
Avengers
thing.
and Thunderbolts.
Secret Avengers,
There's a lot.
Christian's Avengers.
Who the fuck are the Thunderbolts? Was this like I don't, like that sounds like a I don't know.
So
Like,
do you
what the hell
remember?
is the
So do you
Thunderbolts?
remember Val?
Who?
Val?
Oh, Val. Yeah.
She is putting together a team which is likely the Thunderbolts, which is basically think of like the Marvel version of Suicide Squad, where it is
Thunderbolts.
a lot of anti-heroes and quote unquote villains that kind of come together in a team and do like
Well, one key thing though about
other
them,
stuff.
they're all
not like a tactical.
they're all in like
squad.
roids.
Yeah.
They're all roid raged.
Wait, really?
So like Secret what's
Secret Wars.
no
Avengers?
the fake Captain America
Hail Hydra.
Oh, John Walker.
Yeah, but he becomes secret.
Oh,
agent.
secret agent.
Agents.
Yeah.
America.
Secret agent. So like he's obviously he's great for the program because he's roided out on the serum.
Yeah.
And then Abomination is also roided out on.
What about Yelena?
Yelena is
What's
just.
she voided out on?
I think she's
Revenge?
like an undercover agent potentially.
Maybe. I mean, I think all of these characters will be redeemed in some way, or hopefully not. But we'll see. I think clearly Wong is up to something. And again, looking into like the Spider-Man trailer, right? He tells Doctor Strange like, "Don't cast that spell," and he's about to go somewhere with luggage and stuff. So like,
So I thought he was going on
moves, he's doing
vacation.
shit. Maybe.
He's the new Nick Fury.
He might be like he's pulling and he's
it's
clearly
just so funny.
He's also clearly trusted enough with the remnants of the Avengers to like directly reach out to Captain Marvel and Bruce and have a conversation about like the rings and stuff, and not include Strange into that conversation. Right? He's not just like Strange's sidekick. He's kind of like his own.
Well, here's the thing though.
He's his own entity.
But here's the thing.
I mean, likely Michael. Yes, like they probably just couldn't get Benedict for the cameo. Also, could be that too.
Yes, because we don't really know when this takes place. The theory is it's around the
They don't
time.
either.
Yeah.
Yeah, so honestly,
The theory is Far From Home, right? Is when this takes place or around
Right
that.
around that.
I would assume, like logically, like I'm thinking this takes place before Far From Home, so it goes. Wait, no, that's not my theory. My theory is after all of that. This takes place after Far From Home and after No Way Home. So the new Spider-Man that's coming out. This takes place after that, and to Michael's point, yeah. Doctor Strange is in the multiverse, or he's doing something else.
Well, you made a joke about it, but you're like, "Oh, Carol's hair is longer," but that's an indicator too, because like her hair is shorter in Endgame.
yeah, but hair doesn't take that long to grow.
It takes, but it take a few months.
But
at
she's
least.
also like mutated, so we don't know how long her hair takes to grow. Also, it could be a wig. Why the fuck a
Or
superhero
it's a
would
different
need a
universe.
wig? I don't know.
or she could be a scroll.
Or she could be a scroll.
Or
Yeah.
yeah.
Or it could be a video recording from another period. I don't know. I don't know why.
It's Captain Marvel. Who cares?
But yeah, I am interested to see like what's happening with Abomination and Wong. We know Abomination is going to show up in She-Hulk. So
Along with Bruce Banner.
along with Bruce Banner. So it's interesting we got both of them in the same movie.
Now, is She-Hulk
Not
going to take
together.
place? We don't know when we don't know when it takes place.
you know nothing.
I mean, there's also rumors that like Matt Murdock is going to show up in that series because
Yeah.
he's a lawyer, and it's a show about lawyers with superpowers.
Do you think it's going to be like True Law and Order, and they'll even do like their own version
They
of the Dun
should.
Dun?
They absolutely should.
That would be
do
pretty funny.
A Marvel Law and
And
Order.
then when
and
she
it'll be
gets
She-Hulk.
mad, she just crushes,
Flips the
crushes
desk.
them.
Oh, yeah.
I'm the judge now. Boosh.
Speaking. So Matt Murdock is Daredevil, right?
Yes.
Did anyone else I kept watching Shang-Chi, and I was like, you know what, this movie is missing as a total joke. The immortal Iron Fist. I just wanted that stupid fuck. What's his name? Randy? Rand?
Danny Rand.
Danny Rand to
Danny
show up
Rand.
and be like, I am the immortal Iron Fist. And then Shang-Chi like just punch him or something.
Doesn't Danny Rand? He's also he learns from monks also
Kung
in another realm
Yeah.
as well.
Kung Lung.
Kung Lung.
You know, if
but
I was
if that would-
Earth and I had all these fucking floating realms everywhere, I'd purge it. Be like, get off my planet.
How? With what?
I don't know. Earth is alive. Figure it out.
What? Like what? Gundams?
Real quick.
Transformers?
When I watched the movie and the bus scene was happening, the movie takes place in San Francisco, which is the home to Ant-Man.
Mhm.
I for some reason when like the little plastic connector connecting the two cars of the bus was getting loose, I was like, Ant-Man's gonna show up. I don't know why I kept thinking that. I'm like, he's just gonna show up. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
Could you
cool.
imagine?
He's
That'd be
walking casually.
Yeah, he's going to picking up some pizza.
I'm like, I could see Paul Rudd just showing up right now. Like, what else is Paul doing?
oh, absolutely.
He's hanging out with
Will Ferrell.
who's he hanging out with? Levy? Danny Levy? Dan Levy. There's a picture of Dan Levy and Paul Rudd at a restaurant, and the caption was like, Paul Rudd is 52. And you look at the picture and you're like, Paul Rudd looks like he's in his fucking 30s. Like, good for him. He's doing
He's a
that Tom
vampire.
Brady cloning thing.
Oh yeah, the clone show.
I want that Netflix show.
That's
Oh man,
canceled.
yeah, probably. It's fake. It's on a streaming service. Anyway, let's talk some Easter eggs real quick before we get out of here. Arjuna, you pointed out the first one.
Yes, in the fighting pits when they're looking through, there is a widow, a black widow, who actually was one of the actresses who played one of the widows in the Black Widow movie, fighting someone who appears to potentially have the extremist virus in them, which is from Iron Man 3, the superpowered thing that makes you superpowered. Guy Pearce's character uses that. So just another like Iron Man 3 illusion and connection there.
They really try to redeem Iron Man 3 in this movie.
Yeah, I guess so. That was the one that I caught. I didn't catch anything else.
So I saw a screenshot. So
Oh my God.
at one point when Wu is looking at his blue monitors, supposedly one of the screens, because it's a flashback, I believe, one of the screens is a still from the original Iron Man when the terrorist group have Iron Man.
Yeah, because they are the 10 rings.
Right.
Right.
So that was supposedly on the screen. I didn't catch it when they were doing that entire monologue stuff.
That would make a lot of sense.
Yep.
So wait, is that implying that the 10 rings were behind capturing Tony Stark?
They helped allow it happen. Like the terrorist group, they funded them.
And they were in Iron Man 1. They are named the 10 rings.
I'm sorry. I forgot about that.
Because the Mandarin and the 10 rings are also like in the comics linked heavily to Iron Man, right?
Yeah.
Like
Gotcha.
the Mandarin villain is Iron Man's one of his big arch nemesis.
So I had no idea 10 rings and Mandarin were connected.
Yeah.
I thought that was just for this movie.
No.
So,
the thing that was different about this movie versus the comics was making the Mandarin villain the father of Shang-Chi.
Shang-Chi.
That was not something that was done.
And he's not even necessarily. He's not the Mandarin.
Right.
His name is Wu. He's gone by, what is it, like the Super Killer or something? Like, he was listing his weird ass names.
The Great Khan.
Yeah.
It was weird.
the immortal Iron Fist.
The immortal Iron Fist. Guys, we gotta obviously ask.
Wait,
go
there's
ahead.
a couple. The big one, the big Easter egg, or the big thing I want to talk about is the Hulk.
The Hulk. What about the Hulk?
He's no longer Smart Hulk.
I know.
He's human.
Okay.
Human.
He's a variant.
I mean, this goes in, but this ties into my bold predictions, which is let's figure out why with our bold predictions.
All right, go
Yeah.
ahead.
Oh,
Because
You go first then.
So here's my theory. Here it is. We'll find out in another show.
That's not a prediction. That's a cop.
Also, it's bold predictions for Shang.
Yeah, I
in the
know.
MCU.
Yeah. I mean, the Hulk being no longer the Hulk, I don't think it is that big of a deal. Clearly something happened, but beyond that,
We
I don't
don't know.
think
I think
it's-
this is a huge fucking deal because in
Yeah.
Endgame, it's such a point of emphasis that they have combined and become one thing. It was like the Hulk's. Kevin Feige talked like every time it felt like he was in front of a mic about the Hulk's journey in this trilogy of movies between Thor, Ragnarok, Infinity War, and Endgame, and the end
Yep.
result is becoming Smart Hulk. And even like Endgame ends with him still as like Smart Hulk, right?
Yes.
So
Sure.
I just thought it was such a wild choice that he's human again. Like,
So obviously something's happened. Right?
yeah, right,
And
right,
We're gonna find out what that is.
Yeah.
Great clue to it being a different timeline.
Yeah. Our producer is convinced that he's a variant.
I think the big one is, again, we don't know how. Like, we don't, like Christian was saying this earlier, we don't know the mechanics of how he was able to
Even
do
become-
a fusion,
Right.
and
Sure.
become one with, Green Hulk.
Yeah.
I like to play, I think what's happened, and this is, if we're doing just solely bold prediction, like how the Hulk became the Hulk, if you guys remember the 1990s animated Hulk show, there is an entire like mini arc where the Hulk separates from Bruce Banner.
yeah.
I think that's what's happened here.
Yeah.
Is the two have separated for some reason, because Bruce also in the Hollow thing, he looks
old as fuck.
old as fuck
and like an alcoholic.
he doesn't look healthy.
Yeah.
He doesn't look healthy at all. And I think that's because the Hulk has separated from him.
And so to go back to your point as well, where they create the perfect Hulk being, right? Once Natasha dies, he probably doesn't feel the need to like be that perfect being. He doesn't want to live forever, which is what like a product of being the Hulk is that he's like invincible indestructible. So he's like, he's gonna give up that power. He's like, clearly maybe he wants to like trash himself. Maybe he's trying to like drink.
Yeah, he's got a
himself
little
to death.
like beer belly going
Yeah,
too.
I mean, once he lost the love of his life, it's like maybe he tried to like. He's like, I'm gonna get rid of the Hulk and let him do his own thing. Maybe he was pulling the Hulk down.
do you have a theory
Yes.
on
I
it?
think
or-
it's probably tied in also to the gauntlet too. Like I think
Oh, yeah.
when he made the click and like his arm was super deteriorated.
Well, it just looks like a
Still
really
listening.
bad burn.
You know, it's still in his sling. It doesn't look like it's burned in the hologram. It's hard to tell, obviously.
Yeah.
With it being a pretty quick shot and also a hologram, but I wonder if that had to do to be was something to do with it as well. Like Endgame was the end for like pretty much all of our original Avengers, and like even though Hulk didn't die, it felt like he was quote unquote retired because of the injury.
It's like, do you remember Power Rangers, specifically Power
Billy?
Rangers? Yeah, to Zeo.
Yeah.
Billy no longer like is the
Fights.
Blue Ranger. He's just the scientist in the background, then eventually leaves. I think you're right. That's what the Hulk is going to become. Is just this
He's
like
the brains.
He's the brains of the
Yeah.
operation. Yeah.
They don't. He does. Yeah, they don't want him to be.
But I like the idea. I mean, I like the idea that maybe there's a whole thing where the Hulk and him separated, because inevitably then they're gonna have to get back together. So what it could end up being is like the Hulk is away doing his own thing for a while, and then we'll come back at some point when needed, and then we get some more Hulk stories.
What if you're right, and then the Hulk persona combines with his cousin, and that's how she becomes She-Hulk?
I mean, I don't. Well, I mean, maybe, but the way that I've always looked at the Hulk thing leaving is it's its own thing.
Yeah, of
its
course.
own like humanoid thing walking around. His cousin becomes She-Hulk because she's dying
Blood transfusion.
and it's a blood transfusion, and she gets the gamma
Right.
radiated blood or whatever, and that's what happens there.
And maybe we'll get to see Red Hulk.
I definitely because we've got it's mentioned in Black Widow. What's his face? The military
Thunderbolt
guy.
Ross.
Yeah, he's not looking good.
Yeah.
Right?
They're definitely pushing that.
And again, maybe this all ties in where maybe Thunderbolt Ross pulled Bruce, pulled out the Green Hulk, and it's using his blood or something. I don't know. What we do know though is Bruce Banner is going to show up in the She-Hulk Disney Plus series, and that is supposed to come out, I believe, in 22 at some point.
I think it's filming.
any
this
ideas
second.
any ideas on the timeline of that show when it takes place?
2020.
In the
Also
20s.
before Shang-Chi.
No, the year is 2020. It's
Huh?
that far into the future. That's how many years.
Get the fuck out of here.
It's not. It's now. It's not 4 digits. It's 16.
7 digits. Oh.
My God. Anyway, let's hear some bold predictions for Shang-Chi in the MCU.
Ooh.
Who wants to go first?
Oh,
I
for
think
Shang.
he's going to show up in the next 3 Marvel movies in some way, shape, or form.
In
Okay,
the
so
next
hold on.
three?
So the next 3 would be The Eternals,
Yep.
Spider-Man Far From Home,
No Way Home.
No Way Home. That's going to confuse the fuck out of me.
Well, they're all home, right? It's
Yeah.
Homecoming.
So Spider-Man and then Doctor Strange.
Correct.
So you think Shang-Chi is in the next 3 Marvel movies?
And so-
Wow.
I think
That
they're gonna
seems
be-
excessive.
I think they're going to be small. I don't think it's going to be anything more than like a cameo or the after credit scene, but I do think he's going to be involved. I think the way that this movie came out, specifically with the 10 rings, it's positioning him to be an important player in the movies, and I think that will be part of these next few movies.
I'm stealing that, but I'm changing a
Wow.
little bit.
You
And
can't
it's not going to be Shang-Chi, it's going to be Wong. Wong, because we actually already know that Wong is in Spider-Man. 'cause
Well, he's
we've
in 2 of the movies already.
Exactly.
Wow.
No, that's
Woohoo!
no.
That's bold.
I win!
No, you're not getting.
I
that
win!
one. You're
Wong
not
will
getting
show
that
up
one.
in Eternals.
Yeah, that's not a bold. That's not a bold prediction.
Fine.
It's a wussy prediction.
My bold
Wong
prediction.
will die.
There you go. Now you speak. Now you.
My bold prediction is going to be
You
that
Agent
his
Coulson.
friend Katie is going to get half the rings at some point.
Ooh, 5 and 5.
Yep.
I
Like
like
they're going to get married and they share them?
that. Okay.
Oh, he's going to propose with the rings.
That'd be kind of cool.
The Shang-Chi sequel is actually just a rom-com, and he
Wait,
has
you
the 10
said-
rings, and he has 10 people he could propose to, and he tries each one out with the rings, but then all the rings come together, and they all combine, and it's just Katie at the end.
The rings do fit on fingers.
they can shrink.
Big fingers.
Whole fingers.
Whole fingers.
That's great.
No, but my bold prediction would be that Katie is going to get half the
Katie.
half the
Awkwafina?
ring. Yeah, Awkwafina.
His
Awkwafina's going to be
future wife.
Legend of the 5 Rings.
The Legend of 11 Rings. They got an 11th ring to add to it. That's the play on
Chris,
the sequel.
your bold prediction?
Yeah, I think I could be wrong because I don't know the details of the show, but what's his name? Hawkeye, Ronan, I think is going to be heavily involved with Shang Li's sister's 10 Rings organization. I think there should be easy tie-in there, I would think. So, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Didn't think of it that
Maybe
way.
he joins the organization, or maybe he's going to be at odds with the organization. That's who he's
My
gonna have
bold
to-
prediction, real quick,
have
for
to
the Hawkeye show. It's not
Hawkeye
gonna,
show?
It's not going to be good.
Oh, that's a good one.
I think they are trying to manufacture it to make sure it is as good as possible.
I'm
think
going to
so?
put it up there with the same quality of Arrow season 3.
Oof.
Well,
Which was not good.
It's premiering at the end of November, a couple weeks after Eternals. So they could whatever implications happen in Eternals could be revisited in Hawkeye. And then the Hawkeye series will go when Spider-Man is released, so they could potentially try and do a Spider-Man tie-in if they want, especially if it's like multiverse.
But we
or
haven't
whatever.
seen any granted the only Disney Plus series and movie that coincided was Loki and Black Widow.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it. So this would be the second series to coincide with release of films. Right. So maybe you're right.
There is a difference though. So Widow
Is in
was
the past.
filmed all pre-pandemic.
Yeah.
Right. I believe a lot of Shang-Chi was filmed last October. Spider-Man and Eternals were both also filmed, I believe, at least parts of it during the pandemic. So in theory, you could do reshoots, especially I think with the Disney Plus shows, because they were also filmed in the pandemic, to match some stuff up if you needed to.
That's true.
Versus Widow and Loki. I think most of Loki was filmed pre-pandemic. Maybe a little bit was post-pandemic. And all of Widow was pre-pandemic. So it was a little harder to match
That's
up.
why there's more explosions.
That's why there's
And
the,
a larger
the fake fire.
There's also a
explosions.
larger
Oh, real
armies
quick.
and troops.
Real
and
quick,
stuff.
CGI better or worse in Black Widow or Shang-Chi?
Oh,
Shang-Chi was better.
Shang-Chi was better overall. It still had its big problems.
When you made it to CGI land, it was not better.
Well, no, definitely. But I'm saying overall.
yeah, it's true.
Black
Yeah.
Widow had CGI problems throughout the entire thing.
And also, I can't.
This
get
one
over
had
that last scene of
fire?
the fight scene. The last fight scene in Black Widow is the worst CGI in all of Marvel. It's so.
Did you see Black Panther driving through Tokyo?
You need to go back and watch Black Widow.
Shiny.
It's so shiny's fine. Marvel
shiny.
is shiny. Everything in Marvel is shiny. Shiny's fine. Fake fire in
fire
the
is
climactic
bad.
battle
The fire is
scene.
bad.
It was awful.
The
don't
fire,
even remember
especially the
fire.
fire when
Awful.
Yelena falls off. That fire was
it
dog
was-
shit.
It's the
That
worst. It was the worst.
That looked like they literally froze it. They took the paint app.
They
Microsoft,
honestly,
and
Windows
they just,
Paint. It was
they just used the little pen and paint filter.
We go and we
so
find
bad.
out it's all real.
that would be
Real sucks. It looks horrible. Didn't
mean,
Lauren send us
we've
an article?
seen that before.
Didn't Lauren send us an article about Ted Lasso and about Roy Kent's
Roy
character?
Yes, everyone
People
thought-
legitimately think he's CGI.
Yep.
Like he's not a real human.
People don't know what's real and what's not anymore. It sucks.
It would be amazing if he wasn't.
Guys, it's that time. Just like how Shang-Chi ended abruptly, I'm going to end the pod abruptly. Because it
All right,
matches.
that's it. We're
But
done.
this isn't the end of the pod.
I know. That's why I'm getting into it. So here we go. I'm kidding. Arjuna, was Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings Ben Kingsley's redemption arc and the new Grogu
We
level
didn't even
toy?
talk about Morris.
I know. We're
Dude,
suck.
the cutest Marvel character ever.
Hey, hopefully we'll be getting some, and then we can just hold them and then not talk about them still.
Oh my god. Well,
Nice.
Morris was great. He's a cute little guy with no face.
It's a butt.
I don't know what it is.
It's a
you know?
butt. His
a
face
chicken
is a
pig.
butt.
He's sensitive
pig.
about it. He doesn't like to talk
Yeah,
about
because
his
it's
lack
like
of
rounded
face.
like a butt.
Yeah. And,
Its
you
face
know,
is a butt.
I feel like we also didn't talk enough about Trevor because he was like the MVP of this movie.
So
He's
anyway,
half
Arjuna, was Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings good?
Yeah, it was a good movie. Definitely not perfect. Definitely had some flaws. I am excited for the future of Shang's character. I think he's a great inclusion in the MCU and will be one of those characters that really continues to shine in more movies, as sequels, and all that type of stuff. But
Oh man.
so yeah, I liked it. It was good, but not great.
Called Was It Good, you dumbass?
I thought I was going to say no for a lot of not necessarily today, but definitely when I thought about the movie. Like, I was like,
because you've seen it twice now, right?
Yeah, I saw it twice, and the first time I saw it, I was like, it was good. As soon as I finished it the first time, I was like, I really liked it, and then I like really started to think about it, and that third act was like such a downer.
Horse shit.
It really brought down a lot, and I feel like left a lot of like really great stuff that in the first 2/3.
Okay, great. Can we get to Christian's? I'm really curious.
Not great. So
Ask him.
Wait,
Ask him. I'm very curious.
Christian, was Shang-Chi, The Legend of the 11 Rings, good?
Well, I didn't see that movie.
All right. What about the prequel 10?
The 10 Rings? Yeah, it was good. I liked it.
He said he liked it. He said he could keep up the farce.
But maybe that was the farce.
It was a great action movie. It's a Marvel movie. There's nothing. I'm not going to go into this thing expecting the deepest thing of all time. I was very entertained. I definitely agree. The second half was slow and it really slowed down once it hit that. Like the pacing in the second half was just so different than the first half. That being said, I still like the climactic battle scene. It wasn't perfect, but I enjoyed it, so it was good.
So you're saying you won't be cosplaying?
It is one of the best Marvel origin movies.
Where'd you guys rank it for the origin movies?
I mean, Iron Man is probably the best.
Black Panther.
No, Winter Soldier's the best origin story.
That's not that's
for Winter Soldier.
Yes, but it's the best though.
The Winter Soldier. Except it's not though. We saw Bucky in first.
Yeah, but he wasn't Winter Soldier then.
Stop saying no. You still saw his origin there.
And Black Panther. Then you can make the argument that Black Panther is not origin story either because we see him fucking Winter Soldier.
That's a good point.
Okay, let's maybe not origin story. The first solo movie,
sure. It's up there.
Which would be
the Winter Soldier,
Iron Man, Thor,
Captain America.
It's better than
Captain Marvel.
Technically, the Hulk.
Better than Captain Marvel. Better than Hulk.
Doctor Strange.
Captain Marvel, Strange.
I want to rewatch
Loki.
Strange. I think Strange is better
Loki's
than
a
I remember.
show.
Yeah, but it's the first time we see that
But I could
variant
be
of
wrong. I don't know. I don't remember.
And then
I think I liked
Guardians?
it more. I think I liked it more.
Guardians
than,
is a team-up movie, but would you consider that?
It's their origin movie.
Yeah,
it's their origin movie.
It's
Yeah.
how they become the Guardians of the Galaxy.
What about the first Disney Spider-Man? What was that called?
Homecoming.
Spider-Man, Homecoming.
Yeah, I actually was not a big fan of Homecoming.
I wasn't either. No, that's a team-up movie. But we're talking the first solo. So anyway, you liked it.
You think it was better than Solo? The Star Wars story.
Yes. Yes.
That Solo was pretty good.
100% this movie's better than Solo.
But
like
Ravi,
Solo.
was it
I
good?
do.
Ravi, was Shang-Chi, Legend of the Ten Rings good?
After a lot of discussion, recording this podcast almost twice, and thinking about it in my chamber of solitude, the bathroom, I've come to the conclusion that this movie, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, was indeed a fantastic movie, and therefore good.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
What a roundabout way.
Fantastic. Yes, it was a great film. I can overlook the shitty second half of the movie, the info dump, the CGI clusterfuck, because again, like Christian said, it's a Marvel movie. Why is there a ring in there? That's weird.
Ring.
Is that your ring?
Wait, this is a nice ring. Can I have it?
Wait, let me see it.
Yeah.
We just found a
right
fucking
here in this plant.
What the hell?
Can I want it.
No, it's mine now.
No.
I now have the one ring.
We found a ring. That's a social clip.
Anywho, we found a ring, and yeah, Shang-Chi was great. Everyone liked it. And on that note, I'm gonna end the podcast because I found a fucking ring.
You don't want to do our what if discussion?
I think we've been going for quite a bit.
I think it could be real quick. You guys are all wrong. It sucked. And now you can end the podcast.
Oh,
Go ahead.
man.
I
interesting.
like the what if. The big thing that I wanted to bring up was the idea that potentially, so in this newest episode of What If, Doctor Strange appears to be the potential villain known as Dormammu, as somebody had presented on Reddit.
Wait, what?
So basically the idea
Did you not
comes.
click the link in our outline?
No.
Christian doesn't read anything we present.
I don't see the
I'm
outline
noticing.
until the actual.
So, Christian, go ahead. You can read this because you can see that.
I cannot.
Can Arjuna? Can you see that?
No.
So can you click on it? See if you can zoom in.
Can we enhance there?
There you go. Okay. You want me to read that?
Yes.
Crazy thought. What if, and hear me out here, this is how Dormammu comes to be. Maybe what we call the dark dimension is merely Strange spending an eternity trying to recreate his reality, consuming other worlds, warping and twisting them to recreate his own, but in the process, destroying all resemblance of time to overcome the paradoxes such creation entails. Spending so damn long trying to consume and twist, Strange forgets and loses the very reason that he started all this, becoming only the consumption, only Dormammu. It kind of fits. It explains why Dormammu wants Earth so much, why time is something he doesn't have, he broke it, and why Dormammu also looks like Strange, aside from being the same actor.
So it's an interesting theory, and this was posted on Reddit from, oh boy, I'm going to butcher his username, and I apologize. It's up here at the top if anyone can read it.
Nope.
Definitely can't read that.
Mr. Michael, can you read that for us?
What the name of the
Reddit user that put this or posted this? Oh, you can't see that. Never mind. Never mind. Yeah, it's fine.
Whoever you are.
But it was posted on Reddit on the Marvel Studio subreddit. It was kind of picked apart where people are throwing up different things in terms of, it can't necessarily be Doctor Strange or that Doctor Strange because the Time Stone is used to kind of lock Dormammu in there, and therefore, could that Doctor Strange or Dormammu break in? I don't know. There's a whole slew of things kind of competing, but it's kind of a nice thing where it could potentially be. And I was talking, I think, with Learman about this, where it's like, did they think when they wrote Doctor Strange that was the case and this was going to happen? Or do we think that the what if directors and writers thought that? And I also think it's a no. I think it's just one of those things where it can be like a nice little happy coincidence.
Yeah.
I don't think you have to necessarily say that it's all super, super connected. But overall, what if episode 4 was kind of fun? It was different from the other 3 that we've seen so far.
Kind of important. The Watcher seemed to interact.
That was the best part.
Yeah, exactly.
The Watcher literally telling Strange to fuck off was easily the best part.
He said fuck off?
No, but he essentially said, I'm not going to save you. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
He's like, I can't. He's like, literally, I can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, that was great. It also makes me feel like the Watcher will be more involved as these episodes
according
go on.
according to the Hyundai Infinity commercial that is out already in the world.
Wait, what?
There's a Hyundai commercial where it's done in the style and animation of What If, and it showcases the Watcher, it showcases Peggy Carter, Thor, Doctor Strange, all kind of teaming up to help the Hyundai car do whatever. Some people are arguing that this is a spoiler because you see them all working together.
I don't think that. Gonna be an episode.
Remember the last episode of What If is called Infinity or Infinite Ultron.
Well, that's just a speculation post. We don't officially know what the order is, but that post has so far been 4 for 4 in terms of what the order is. So
I mean, it's probably one of the writers who posted that fucking thing. Yeah. They went Reddit karma. And with that, we are going to close.
Wait, I didn't get to say how the episode was stupid.
No, we don't want to hear. This is the positivity podcast.
What?
This is the positivity podcast.
When are we positive?
All the time.
We are the most negative Nancys on the planet.
Well, why was it bad?
Stupid.
Did you really?
No, dumb. No, we don't have to go into it. But I did not like it. I just thought it was...
Well, you said it earlier. It summed it up nicely as to why I didn't like it.
Well, that was off air. I wasn't before the...
That's what I'm saying. Say that a piece again.
No, I'm going to. To me... Right, What If should take on stories that are different and interesting, and this just did a very clear comic trope of taking a main character, killing off his romantic interest, and then him breaking bad.
Like Breaking Bad.
But I mean, What If has been that the whole way through?
3 out of 4, you're absolutely right. And 3 out of 4 episodes.
Wait, which one wasn't that?
I felt like I still think 2 is the best because it feels like it's the most different, right?
But it's the same, but in reverse. What if we took a serial killer and made him good?
A serial killer?
Thanos.
But that's not what the What If was about. That's a part of it. The thing is, it's
a pretty big part of it, though.
The thing is, though, about T'Challa and T'Challa becoming basically Star-Lord, that's the big thing, and that is interesting to me. And it's seeing those impacts, including Thanos. Thanos is not the main part of that episode. The main part is about T'Challa's story.
Sure, but even T'Challa, he's just put in a different situation and still being good.
But it's still interesting in terms of the impact that it has. Like, that's what I find more interesting.
But
about
Doctor
What
Strange
If.
Breaking Bad, I love that, by the way. Breaking Bad, he destroys the whole fucking universe. That's interesting.
That's not interesting.
He
'cause
destroys a universe
I mean,
and then puts it in a jelly
all
bean.
these things can be
Arguably
right.
I know.
more of an effect on the world than.
Well, none of these have an effect because they're all pocket
They have effect on
universes.
their worlds.
Well,
Are you saying their worlds are important, Arjuna?
Nope.
No.
That's
not
universe
They're
disc.
They're not canon, so they don't matter.
Here's
That's
a-
why
here-
I said that we discussed that.
Here's
on
the
week
bigger
one.
question.
Is we don't know how much to invest because
Yeah.
these are just Saturday morning cartoons. We've been saying it, and they still.
We
are.
actually
I've
got a
been saying
comment
it.
that
I've been
said
saying it for 10
we actually got a
damn
comment on the Saturday morning post that we put out there where someone said, "Good thing that we're not in charge of coming up with MCU rollouts." As if posting it on a Saturday would be bad.
Why would that be bad? How would that change anything from posting
don't
on Wednesday?
know.
Wednesday at freaking midnight.
Yeah.
Is it, Tuesday at midnight?
Well, Wednesday. It's Wednesday at 12 a.m. 12 a.m. is Wednesday morning.
Right, but it's Tuesday midnight.
No, it's
No,
Wednesday midnight.
No, Wednesday midnight would be into Thursday.
No, Wednesday midnight is the very beginning.
I
of
don't.
Wednesday.
Tomato. Honestly, at this point.
Yeah, however you want to interpret it.
Yeah. Hey, it's like
Yo,
it's
go
like
by a day.
it's like how Ben Kingsley interprets acting with monkeys.
Oh my god.
So you think the monkeys were riding horses?
I'm sorry. We had to ask a really important question on the whole Ben Kingsley thing to our producer. Michael, was that good like acting advice? Is that like a good? Is this what you look at like as an actor?
Is that what advice you would
"This
give
is
to
what
a
I
fellow
need."
actor?
I think that was great advice. I wish I had that mindset. I would probably be a successful actor if
You are.
if I believed I could. Yeah, I think it's great advice. Ian McKellen gave similar advice in Extras.
Oh yeah.
Right. And with that, we are going to close out the podcast because this has been one of our longer ones, which has been great. As always, you can find us on YouTube every Friday, Saturday when we live stream the pods on youtube.com/wasitgood. We're on TikTok, Instagram at wasitgoodpod. We're also on Twitter at wasitgood. Double check there to see when we're live and what pods we're talking about in the future. Our next pod is going to be this Tuesday. It'll be a recording that will drop. We're going to change it up a little bit and talk more, I believe, about COVID and its impact on the Hollywood industry and specifically around what the directors and producers are saying around content and the future of it.
We're also going to drop our top 5 movie dances in the show.
We're not doing that.
Zemo wins.
We are going to actually do it. Even though that is an audio-only podcast, we will visually show them. I mean, I know we post the video on YouTube. We'll still visually show them the dances.
Goodbye.